Joining us now, Edward R. Murrow Press Fellow at the Council of Foreign Relations, Elise Labott. She's also the host of Cosmopolitics on Substack. Elise, so good to have you here. But let's start right there. This larger issue that you talk about, beyond just the jumbo jet from Qatar, but it's also the president's business dealings that are on display during this tour through the Middle East. Explain what you mean.
That's right, Ali. Listen, these are not just one and done. The president has a lot of business dealings in Qatar, for instance. He's going there. He has a large golf course, the Trump golf course over there that he's invested in. His son, Eric, right before President Trump's trip, has been in the region. Basically, the Trump family is working on a lot of deals in the Middle East. Obviously, while President Trump is in office, he's not intimately involved, but these are dealings that will set up the Trump family for years to come. And so it's not just Eric Trump, also Steve Witkoff, the Middle East envoy, who's one of President Trump's partners in real estate and other businesses outside of office. His son is also involved. Witkoff has a lot of business dealings in the Middle East. So there's a little bit of an incestuous nature there with these Gulf allies. And that goes true for Saudi Arabia and the UAE as well. But particularly in Qatar, the kind of business dealings, when you make a look a little closer, it's very revealing.
Yeah, and I do think it's important to note all of the overlap that you're talking about. It was the central theme of our show yesterday. You talk about Trump and Witkoff, the seniors, and the business ties that the families overall have in the region, but their sons have been working closely together, including on things like the crypto fund that we've spent a lot of time talking about on this show and in our coverage. But you also say that President Trump's trip to the Middle East is, to that end, not about diplomacy or national security, but part of Trump's transactional Middle East strategy. So talk about that and how it could potentially shape U.S.-Mideast relations over the next few years.
Well, if you listen to his speech yesterday, he's essentially saying that the United States was too interventionist. What did you need the U.S. for? Whether it's military intervention or political intervention, you're doing very well by yourself. So essentially, the message is invest in the United States. Give us your money, give us your investment, and, we'll leave the politics to you. And, traditionally, the U.S. has had this real role in terms of leadership on human rights and reform in the region. And President Trump is saying, look, it's not about that anymore. We want to be like you. In fact, President Trump looks at this splendor in the Middle East, this Gulf money, these leaders who have absolute power to use their investments however they want. And I think he wants to try and emulate that here in the United States. And so basically what he's saying is the U.S. is open for business. We're going to leave the politics to you, and everybody is going to be happy.
And then, of course, we talked about this at the start of the show, the president announcing the lifting of sanctions against Syria. This is notable. Can you talk about the impact of it?
Well, it's notable because he did it at the request of Mohammed bin Salman. He said, what I wouldn't do for the Crown Prince. I like him so much. The Gulf leaders are really trying to give Syria a boost. Ahmed al-Shara, the new president, listen, remember, he has ties to al-Nusra and al-Qaeda going way back. Now he put on a suit and he's a reformist. There are a lot of concerns about, Islamic ideology in Syria, but the Gulf countries are trying to give Syria a boost. There's also Turkey and Qatar that are very close to Syria. So I think Trump is really kind of setting up here that he has invested in Syria. Israel's not so happy about that, as you can see by some of the attacks they're making into Syria to go after extremists. So I think we should watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space as Trump announces the lifting of sanctions, but then also offered a suggestion, apparently, according to the White House's readout to the president of Syria, saying that he's encouraging him to sign on to the Abraham Accords, telling all foreign terrorists to leave Syria. So not exactly conditions for getting those sanctions removed, but suggestions now that they will be. Elise Labott, great to have you breaking all of this down for us this morning. Thanks.